You want to know why I'm mad? I had 3 abortions. 3. Because they were all boys. And I'm just going to keep on having more and more abortions until it's a girl.
Whoa,
you heard me?
Let's talk about what actually happened in this video. Not hypotheticals, not internet spin. A woman says she's had multiple abortions specifically because the pregnancies were boys, and that she intends to keep terminating pregnancies until she has a girl. That statement is shocking. It's extreme. And yes, it sounds absurd on its face. But the reason it needs serious commentary isn't because it proves some anti-choice talking point. It's because this is not what reproductive freedom is meant to look like, and pretending otherwise helps no one. First, being pro-choice does not mean endorsing every choice. Let's get this out of the way immediately. Being pro-choice means supporting a person's legal right to bodily autonomy, not pretending every reason for an abortion is healthy, ethical, or rooted in sound thinking. You can defend the right and still critique the reasoning. Saying this is her right does not require us to say this makes sense or this is emotionally healthy. Those are 2 different conversations, and confusing them is how discourse breaks down. Why this claim is absurd on a logical level? Let's talk logic. Aborting pregnancy solely because the fetus is male assumes that sex determines moral worth, that gender guarantees harm, that repeating a medical procedure indefinitely is sustainable, and that trauma can be solved by erasing a category of people. None of that holds up. If boys are the problem, eliminating unborn boys doesn't fix the world. It just delays confronting whatever pain is driving that belief. That's not empowerment. That's avoidance dressed up as control. The physical reality of multiple abortions. Now let's talk about the body, factually calmly, without scare tactics. Abortion, when legal and medically supervised, is generally safe. That matters. But safe does not mean impact-free, especially when repeated many times. Multiple abortions can increase risks such as cervical trauma, uterine scarring, infection complications in future pregnancies, hormonal disruption depending on method and frequency. These risks are not guaranteed, but they are real, and dismissing them does women a disservice. Pro-choice does not mean pretending the body is invincible. The psychological side, which matters. Just as much, what concerns me more here isn't the medical aspect, it's the psychological framing. Choosing abortion as a form of gender selection isn't neutrality. It's not emotional stability, it's fixation. When someone says they'll keep having abortions until they get a specific outcome, that suggests compulsive thinking, unresolved anger or displaced trauma. That doesn't make her evil. It makes her someone who's hurting, and pain doesn't become healthy just because it uses the language of feminism. Why she might be rejecting boys so intensely, let's be honest. People don't develop this level of hostility toward an entire gender in a vacuum. If this woman has experienced abuse, betrayal, sexual violence, systemic mistreatment, or repeated harm by men, then her anger makes emotional sense, even if her actions don't make logical sense. But here's the hard truth. Punishing hypothetical future boys does nothing to heal past wounds caused by grown men. Trauma doesn't disappear when you redirect it at the unborn. Why therapy, not pregnancy, is the place to work this out. If a person feels so consumed by resentment toward men that they can't imagine raising a son, that's not a political stance. That's a mental health issue. And again, that's not an insult. Therapy exists precisely for this reason: to process rage without harming yourself, to unpack trauma without repeating cycles, to separate individual pain from universal blame. No reproductive choice should be driven by untreated trauma. That's not autonomy. That's distress making decisions for you. The broader problem with clips like this: this video gets shared not because people care about women's health, but because it's useful. Anti-choice groups use it to demonize abortion. Misogynists use it to demonize women. Bad faith actors use it to delegitimize feminism entirely. And meanwhile, the actual issues, trauma, mental health, informed choice, get ignored. That helps no one. Closing, you can be pro-choice and still say, this reasoning is unhealthy. This doesn't make sense. This woman deserves help, not applause. Bodily autonomy is about freedom, not self-destruction. Feminism is about liberation, not replacing one form of harm with another. And if this clip makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is where real conversations start. Now that we've addressed the surface of this clip, let's go deeper. Because once you strip away the shock value, what's left is a pattern that psychology, medicine, and sociology already understand pretty well, and none of it points to empowerment. Sex selection is a known phenomenon, and it's always a red flag.